Okay, welcome to Learners Podcast. Today we are having the second session on the Islamic banking and finance. This is the second session of our second batch of training. So let's proceed.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our first session under second series of eTraining of Islamic Economics and Finance, organized by learnerspodcastisb, Islamabad, Pakistan. Thank you so much. Our topic or session to be discussed today is all about interest rate, like I've said. Interest rate, and we are expected to cover some significant areas in interest rate. We need to know the meaning of interest rate and also the interest rate in conventional economy. We also need to know the interest rate in Islam and Christianity and other civilizations. We need also to look at the famous saying of former president of Nigeria about the interest rate. We're going to discuss about types of interest rate and money in conventional and Islamic bank. These are some significant area that we are expecting to cover today in our session. Without much delay, let me start with the definition of interest rate. Initially, when you ask conventionally what interest rate is all about, now we have to talk about the conventional area before coming to Islamic perspective, so that it will give us a clear perception and perspective about the interest rate. Technically, an interest rate is a percentage of principal charged by the lender for the use of its money. For instance, if I collected some amount of money from you, so I'm expecting you to return back the money with surplus on it, not at exactly amount being given to you initially. The principal is the amount of money loaned. So when we talk about the principals, we are referring to the initial amount given to you. That is the principals. So the interest rate here is the amount to be charged after the principals being returned. So an interest rate is either the cost of borrowing money or the reward for saving it. It's calculated as a percentage of the amount borrowed or served. So when we look at these two significant areas of interest as a definition of or meaning of interest rate, we understand that initially it has to be given, some money has to be given, or some item of money has to be given, and in return you are to give additional amounts on what you have been collected, which we refer as principal. Okay, let us look at the interest rate in conventional economy and how that interest rate used in conventional economy. You know, it has an impact, definitely depend on the charges in the interest as goes up or down. So initially, when we look at the economy, we are looking at about how to grow or how to promote the growth of our country, how to promote the growth of our economy, how to promote anything related to to financial aspect of it. So in this session or in this area, we are going to look at how you charge interest and how interest affects the growth and also how negatively affect the growth and consumers, and where did interest rate promote growth from the consumer watch and also producer watch. When interest rates goes up under consumers watch, initially, since we already understand the word interest rate, it discourages borrowing and also encourage savings. In this scenario, for instance, payment debt will be in a higher side. Discourage borrowing, I'm referring to, for instance, someone collected amount of money from me and he expected me to pay back in a certain period of time. But I realized that the interest rate being charged on that particular amount is high. So if the interest rate goes high, for instance, 50% of what I have given, what will happen? it would discourage me in terms of borrowing. I would think that, yes, if I borrow this amount of money, where am I going to get the money to pay back this significant amount charged after me? So this one under Consumers Watch is discourage borrowing from financial institution. Where did that encourage saving? So encourage saving because, for instance, as somebody that has a cash under his carpet, he wanted to put into a financial institution, to deposit it into financial institution, he needs to ask for reward. Reward is to how much interest rate will be given to him after depositing the money into that financial institution. It means when customers use the money, he's expecting some significant amount to be what? To be given back. So encourage saving, it means encourage depositing money by the customers into financial institution. So in that case, less money in the real economy will happen. What am I referring by less money? That means the demand for goods and services that shows that it will affect companies that are still having something like companies that operating based on luxury. What I'm referring to that, when the money gets cast in an economy, so that economy suffers in terms of circulation of currency. And also the demands for goods and services, it definitely will affect it. Which section of the companies, for instance, will affect more especially like luxury companies? Because luxuries has been earn more from the investment or earn more from the customers when there is more money into an economy. But when there is no money into economy, it means the demand will not be there, and also the goods and the services will be less needed because the money is less into an economy. Okay, let us look at how that affects producer as a company that produce, as a company who give you products in order to make the life better. So when one producer, that is the people or company that produce goods and services, realize that the interest rate goes up, what will happen? More expense to borrow money. It means the borrowing will be more expensive. As a customer, as somebody that has a company, I will not go to financial institution and demand for a loan. Why? Because the borrowing rate of interest to be paid after collecting the principals it in a higher side. So it will not give me an opportunity or give me that privilege to borrow such amounts of money. So in that side, there is a likelihood of business postponement. So if I have a plan to produce a product on that period of time, I may think that no, it won't be possible because the interest rate is high. What am I going to use? I have to use my shares. I have to use my equity. That is the asset that I'm having under the company. I may sell some of them in order to finance my product. So, and mark you, that also will make my product or the other product to be expensive because the interest rate goes high and the rate of borrowing is also high. And the product that will be produced by that particular company, it also must be high because they must cover their money and also look for a profit in order to have a smooth profit in gaining. Okay, when we look at it, for instance, when the interest rate goes down, under Customers Watch, it discourages savings. That is the opposite of what we have said. You know, in that period, encouraging savings because maybe you may get 20% of your deposit, 30% of your deposit. But now when it goes down, it means your deposit, the rate of your deposit will go down to, because it will be half of what you have been earning. For instance, it's half of what you have been earning previously. If it happens to be 20%, now you are getting 10%. So you realize that the amount is coming down. So in that area, you will be discouraged in terms of saving. No need of me to save because the 10% is a little amount. So because of that, you withdraw your money from the financial institution. But encourages borrowing. in this scenario also encourages borrowing. People may start thinking, yeah, now the interest rate is only 10% and 10% is nothing. Let me go and buy, and borrow money so that I can start my business with it. 10% is nothing compared to what I would going to earn at the end of the day. So you can see it's the opposite of what we have said previously. And under producers watch, less expensive, so to borrow money. Now the company will go direct to financial institution and look for money, look for borrowing, and also look for how to enhance their business. So in that moment, they encourages investment, and more production led to more job. So you may see that company are producing more product, and now job is being looking, and now the company are looking for people to get employment, to get employed, and also more turnover are coming, more income also are coming into this. So in that area, we understand that the luxury company also in this area may have boosted themselves in order to have many many products, because people will start coming due to the money is circulating everywhere in an economy. So the evaluation of both sides is limited impact for firms who sell initial goods and services like food items does not affect them, because they are regularly companies that is being regularly daily and also regularly having activities, because you cannot survive without foods. So something like food items and other relevant materials that is being needed in the life, you may have it at all time. There is no issue. And also the second part of it depends on size of the interest rate. We also look at the size of interest rate. If it is high, for instance, the company get discouraged in terms of borrowing, but if it is less, the company get money from the financial institution. Okay, let's look at the issue of riba, interest usury. They are all the same thing. Only in Christianity, there some are saying that the riba, the interest and usury are two different things, but we are going to discuss that one later. But according to Al-Jassasi, he defines riba as a loan giver for a stipulated period with a stipulated increase on the principal payable by the loan taker. Riba also defined as an increase that has no corresponding consideration in an exchange of property and property. So it doesn't care about what is this and what is that. What riba is all about, what the conventional is looking for, add something on the principal amount borrowed from the initial borrower, from the person that you lend the money from him. So that is called interest. That one has to be money, or property, or any relevant distance, as we are going to see in the verses below. The prohibition of riba is deduced from the following verses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Arabic, الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those who devour usury will not stand except as stand whom the evil one by his touch hath driven to madness. That is because they say, ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا. And he said that is because they say trade is like usury, but Allah has permitted trade and forbidden usury. وأحل الله الربا وحرم البيع وحرم الربا. فمن جاءه موعظة من ربه فانتهى فله ما سلف وأمره إلى الله. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues saying that but Allah has permitted trade and forbidden usury. Those who after receiving direction from their Lord deceased shall be pardoned for the past. Their cases for Allah to judge. But those who repeat the offense are companions of the fire. They will be abide therein forever. That is وَمَنْ عَادَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. That's Quran chapter 2 verse 275. So now it's telling you that the riba under Islamic perspective is not allowed. We have talked about the riba in conventional economic side of it. As we are going to conclude, when we come to the conclusion, we are going to mash them all together and have a solid saying about all of these parts. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala further says, "O you who have believed, Fear Allah and give up what remains due to you of interest if you should be believers. And if you do not, then be informed of a war against you from Allah and his messenger. But if you repent, you may have your principal, those you do not wrong, nor are you wronged. Quran chapter 2, verse 78 and 9. That is also under the verse we just stated. And also Prophet ﷺ, he calls those who accept riba, who intervene and accept riba, those who give and those who record it and those who witness it, saying they are all the same in terms of what? In terms of sin, as Muslim reported this. We also know that the Prophet ﷺ do mention that avoid the 7 destroyers and destructive sin. Consuming wealth of riba is part of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited. When we look at the Bible also discusses a lot about the riba, a lot about interest, a lot about issue related to usury. But like I've said, some of the Christian scholars do consider that the usury is the one that is being shows is not allowed, but the interest, the small amount being charged on the principal amount is allowed. That's why they are interfering with the riba. But it's not the true statement. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to try to bash side of this thing, but we are going to see it in the Bible, as I have given the references and also what is being said in the Bible. If you lend money to one of my people among you who is needy, do not be like a money lender. Charge him no interest. That one is Exodus 22:25. Exodus 22:25. The Christian brothers and sisters will look at that reference and also check where the riba is not, that's the interest. The word interest is being used, is not usury. It means interest and usury are the same thing. If you have the taken bribe or shed blood, you have taken interest and increase, and you have greatly gained from your neighbor by extortion, and have forgotten me, says the Lord God. Ezekiel 22:12 and Ezekiel 18:13. They also say that if you charge riba, if you charge interest, it means you have what? You have shed blood of your destiny, or bribe if you take it. So this is about the Quran and Bible. But there are civilizations, that is the European civilization, the money lenders who sought interest or usury on their loans were abhorred, despised, and also condemned from centuries. This is the European civilization. They also condemned such acts. In 1317, the Council of Vietnam also excommunicated usurers. They excommunicated usurers. It means they removed them from the side and also sent them away from themselves. In 1317, please, in 1317. And also in 12th century, Pope Alexander III excommunicated usurers. It means usury has no place to sit, or has no place in any civilization, and also has no place in any religion. So if you are condemning interest, you are not condemning it under Islamic perspective alone, you are condemning it in generality of what we have seen from the verses. Some reason behind the prohibition of riba: acquisition of property by wrongful means and harm the needy. So it's part of it. It goes against the mutual cooperation. It's a removal of possibility for injustice and exploitation. Money is meant to be a medium of exchange and stand of value for other goods, but it's not for tradable. So this is what interest is all about. I'm trying to summarize it because of the time factor. Let's look at a former saying of our former president of Nigeria, who attended the G8 summit in 2008. Who is that person? Is Obasanjo. Let's listen to what he says. All that what we had to borrow up to 1985 or 1986 was around 5 billion, and we have paid about 16 billion. We borrowed 5 billion and we have paid about 16 billion. Yet we are still being told that we own about 28 billion. That 28 billion came from about, because of the injustice in foreign creditors, interest rate. If you ask me what is the worst thing in the world, I will say it's compound interest. That Obasanjo, that's Obasanjo's statement. he says that when he went to G8, he wanted to confess to them. He said that my country only borrowed 5 billion, but now we have paid 16 billion since 1985 and 1986, which I know some of our participants are not born yet on that period. And also 28 billion, they are still on 28 billion because of what? Compounded interest. So it's not easy. It's not easy, definitely. We need to look at it. Riba, or usually, is not a good alternative for a country or developing country, as we are going to discuss later. Let's look at the types of interest, types of riba. We have different types of riba, as we are going to see it here. We have, first part of it, we have riba diyun. In Arabic, we call it riba diyun, but debt. Riba, that is interest based on debt. And in others, which is unjustifiable increment in money lent, whether in kind or cash over the above principles, over the above principal amount. And in other side, we have riba al-buyu. So riba, it has two dimensions. The one is based on credit, is based on debt, which is related to money, and the other one is based on barter. Barter, it means the exchange of goods and services occurred between the two parties. So there is a riba on this exchange. If happens to be debt and debt, it has to be in equal value. It happens to be, for instance, rice and rice, doesn't care Nigerian rice or Pakistan rice, it has to be in equal instances. If one passes others in terms of equality, it means we have a riba here, as we are going to see it later. So under riba diyun, we have what? Riba al-qard, which is credit, interest based on credit. That one is the amount charged on the loan is agreed upon at the point of contract. That is the one that financial institution used to issue. So, and under also riba diyun, we have riba al-jahiliya, which is the compound interest, the one that Obasanjo talks about, the one that our former president discussed much on it. That one is if you defaulted in terms of repaying your money, you have to be charged twice of what you have collected or what you have been expected to pay. And under riba al-buyu, barter, which we have riba and nasiya, we have something called delay. So if you have, for instance, the exchange of barter, the exchange of rice, Nigerian rice with foreign rice, but you have a delay in terms of delivery, that delayment that happened between even that scale, or even that the quantity of the product are equal, it means the delay that took place between the delivery, we call it what? We call it delay, which is riba and nasiya, and also is riba, as the Prophet ﷺ says. And also the last part of riba, we have riba al-fadl, we have riba surplus. That one, it means the quantity are not equal in terms of measuring, in terms of scale measuring. Under conventional bank, let us check how the riba is being used under conventional bank. Money is considered as a commodity. We know that the money is tradable. They can trade it. Its unit of account is also commodity. So they can trade money. Money can be generated. That's why they have something called credit creation. Credit creation, I will give you 500 US dollar, you give to another body, I will charge you 5% of what I have given it to you, and the second person will charge 10% of what you have been given to other party. So that is how they create money. So in that, they says credit creation. So let's look at it, how that works in a conventional financial institution. Once if you loan out the money to someone, that is exchange, you give it to him. So now the period taken or delay that happened between exchange, giving somebody's money and returning back, we call it period taken or delay. Delay, that is between the party A and party B. So we call that one time value of money. So that delayment, it may happen that I lose the value of my currency on that delay. That period of delayment, it may take a month or two. So if I do not consider such, that one will be an issue to me. So I have to increase some amounts on it so that it will compensate what I have lost during the period. That's what we call surplus. And that surplus will go back to the money lender. We go back to the person that lent out the money. So let's look at it under Islamic Bank, how money is being used. Money is considered as a medium of exchange only. Let's look at it. Customer financial institution that is seeking for funding to start a construction. So the financial institution look at it and analyze, check and analyze that is the construction company that the customer wants, and issue the money to finance that company, that construction. After finalizing after completing the project and earn the profit as predicted, now the financial institution and the customer will share the profit being gained from that construction company. So you can see under Islamic financial institution, it's all about profit sharing. It's all about profit making and sharing. It's not about debt. It's not about interest rate. It's not about gambling and other unpermissible kind of items that we see conventional institution is doing. So thank you so much. I know that there is a lot of question, and also during the question and answer session that will be tackled. I would like now to just give a 5 to 10 minutes break so that we can come back for the second session. We have a quiz, and that quiz will be displayed to each and every one of us participants so that we can feel it. Thank you so much for the listening, and I hope you find it useful. Prof, it's over to you. Thank you.
Okay, participants. Now this is the first session. In the second session, what we are going to do is that I will be having the 5 minutes break, and after the 5 minutes, I will just we will join in that session. By the time you just review what you have learned, and if you have any question, you may ask me in that session. And also there will be the quiz related to the today's session. Okay? And that quiz will be the people who will be participating in that quiz will be a kind of the attendance for this session. Okay, the final evaluation will be based on the results of the quiz. Thank you very much. Okay, I have the question that I will ask you. That what is, if you very quickly differentiate between the interest, usury, and the riba.
Sorry, usury and riba, right? Yes, usury and riba, they are the same thing. But under Christianity, some of the scholars are saying, no, there are two different things. The reason is interest is a light charging. That is a light charging in. You are charging in people light one. So that one is allowed according to them. That is the scholars of Christianity. But usually that is the huge amount being charged on the principal amount given. So they consider that usually is not allowed, but a small amount of interest rate is allowed. Okay. So because of that, a lot of scholars disagree with them, disagree with their statement, and also it proven from the Bible that the interest is not usury alone. Interest and usury are the same thing. They are all charging on the principal amount. So they are both not allowed and they are prohibited.
Interest and usury, there is a difference in the amount. Okay. In the usury, there is a large amount, and in the interest, it involves a small amount, but both are not allowed.
Both are not allowed.
Not allowed. Okay.
Yes.
And
both
riba,
are not allowed.
The riba is the Arabic word of the interest. Am I right?
Yes, riba is the Arabic word. While they use the riba and interest, they said interest and usury. So if they said riba in Arabic is usury, it's not interest. But okay. As a Muslim, ours is even charging a penny on a principal amount given is not allowed. It's not permissible. So in that direction, we shouldn't allow ourselves, we shouldn't deceive ourselves that interest and usury are different things. No, they are all the same thing. The small or big amounts are the same.
Okay.
Please, do you have a question? If you have a question, the door is open for you. Yeah. And also the quiz is on the quiz now. I'm going to send a quiz to each and every one of us here. What you need to do is to check on the link click on the link, sorry, it will direct you to the questions. You answer the question based on what we have discussed here now in the class. Yes, so yes, I can see Alamin. Alamin, you want to ask a question, please? Alamin, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, Mr. Tijjani, thank you very much. You can
also turn on your camera as well, Amin, if you want.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, go ahead, we are listening to you.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Tijjani.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. Your presentation was very impactful. So my question is, based on what you said about Islamic banking, you said they used to gain their profits through profit sharing.
Yes. Yes. It's not a loan. We are just citing an example that they use profit and sharing method in terms of generating their profits. Sorry, can you go ahead so that you can complete your question before I answered your question? Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, you made a very good example with a construction company that you are going to give them maybe a plan or something. When the profits comes out, then you will go with the method of profit sharing. So I don't know if it's still applicable to losses. If maybe, you know, business that is lost, that is gain. So what if the construction company had a loss? Are you going to incur the loss also, or is it only profit?
No, initially, before you even go to the this thing, you know, the Islamic banking and finance, their basic, that is the basic part of it is profit and loss sharing. When I said profit and loss sharing, we are not talking about murabaha, we are not talking about mudaraba alone. There are a lot of product that is being that has been put together under Islamic banking and finance. But what Islamic banking and finance is all about is about profit and loss sharing. Once you earn, two group of people comes together and they invested their money into a certain product, and you earn a profit, so the profit will be shared based on agreement, based on how much you guys agree to take a share. Here, the Islam does not put compulsory upon you that you must, because you contributed 50-50, you must share the profit 50-50. It's not like that. But when it comes to the issue of loss, if you contributed 50-50, you are to also share the loss 50-50. If you have, maybe somebody want to assist you, as somebody that is just starting up a business, and now I gave you 500,000, you have 500,000, we put together, I may decide to say that 70% of the profit earned goes to you. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. And also, but when losses happens, happens, you are not expecting, I'm not expecting you to say that now, since you relinquish 70% of your profit to me, now I'm expecting that to take 70% of the loss. No, the loss has to be based on capital contributed. I hope you get the answer right.
Yeah, it's much more clearer. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you. So you can ask questions, please, if there is any question. And also the quiz is going on now. I will send a password to you. You click on the this thing, but I don't want you to ask a question based on the quiz, because I know what I've programmed, what I have sent it to you. So the password will go to you right away. Can we listen to Mustafa? Mustafa want to say something.
Okay, very quickly, Mustafa, please.
Mustafa, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Morning, sir.
Thank you so much, morning.
I wasn't aware of the meeting, so I just.
Sorry?
I wasn't aware of the meeting that it has been scheduled to 10. So I just saw the message on the group, so I decided to join.
Okay, sorry, that's our fault, but please, can you just join our quiz? The quiz is there on the chat box. You can go and put the password 12345.
Okay.
So, and answer some questions. I know it will be so easier to you.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay, Dr. Tijjani, also participant that this quiz is just a practice quiz. It doesn't mean that we are going to evaluate you on the basis of this quiz, just to make your learning, to improve your learning and the comprehension.
And also it serves as an attendance.
Yeah, also it is a sort of attendance for us that these people have attended the session and attended the quiz as well. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so sir, Dr. Tijjani, we are going to start the quiz.
Yes, okay.
So do you think that during the quiz, if someone has some question, he may ask or?
Yes. If somebody has a question, may go ahead and ask a question.
Okay.
Yes, I can see Bashir Azanna Abu. He's raising up. He raised his hand.
Yeah.
Please,
Yeah.
Prof, can you unmute him?
Yeah.
It's already unmuted.
Yes. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Bashir, wa alaikum salam. The mic is yours. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Good afternoon. I'm asking please about qard. More enlighten me.
Sorry?
Qard.
Well, I think
Yes.
he's asking about the loan.
Yes.
The word qard.
So you're asking a card. When we
Yeah.
say card, we are referring to loan.
Okay.
But Qardul Hasan, we have a loan that is a good loan, benevolent loan, which is Qardul Hasan. That one, you have no interest, you have nothing to repay back with. For instance, if you go to financial institution, which is interest-free Islamic banking or interest-free financial institution, they have something called Qardul Hasan. They will give you a loan, but they are expecting you to repay back the loan without any addition, without any single addition on it. You get the point? So the exact amount given to you, that is what they are expecting to repay back. Exact amount to repay them back. Yes.
That is
so
Hasan.
Qardul Hasan. When we say qard, we are referring to loan. But what type of loan? Yes. So Qardul Hasan, we are referring to
Interest-free loan.
benevolence loan.
It is interest-free loan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Yes, I need more explanation on Riba al-Jahiliya and Riba al-Nasiha.
When we say Riba Jahiliya, we are referring to compound interest. You know, then before Riba is known that you add something, you add a little on what you have borrowed. Are you getting me?
Yes.
So, but
Yes.
Riba al-Jahiliya, when they realize that they want to make things to be so exploitative during Jahiliya period, that is pre-Islam time. So
Yes,
they
sir.
try to bring something newly that would disturb and distract people, which we refer to compound interest. Instead of you paying the interest once, so if you default it, instead of you saying, okay, we are expecting you to pay in a so date and you defaulted, so now we have given you another chance to repay your debt. No, they won't agree with that. They will add another money more on what you have borrowed and on the interest rate too, so that it will be compound. So because of that, it's been named compound. So that one started from Jahiliya period. Are you with me? So that
Yes,
one was
sir.
called Riba Jahiliya. That's compound interest. So the story began during that period. But when we come to the Riba and Nasiya, it means it's a delay. So you know, then before is the trade is being considered based on barter. For instance, you have a fresh or you have a Nigerian rice and Pakistan rice. That is the foreign rice, for instance, or China or any country that produces rice. Are you getting me? So the rice is rice. Nigerian rice is rice, and also Pakistan rice is rice. So when you want to exchange the rice with the rice, you are expected to exchange it in an equal quantity, and also the same time. But if happens that you are exchanging this and you say that, no, my rice is not here with me, it's at home, but let me have your own so that I will take mine at home and bring it to you. So we have some delay here, right? You have my possession, you have collected my own under your possession, but you haven't give me yours. So in here we have a delay in exchange. So that delay, we consider it as a riba. It's not allowed. In Islam, it's not allowed. If you want to exchange, it has to be at the same point, it has to be on the same place, it has to be on the same time, so that the change will take place at that time. I hope you get it right.
Yes, what about Riba al-Fadl?
Riba al-Fadl, that is the riba surplus. Fadl, yes, riba surplus. So when we look at riba surplus is, for instance, I have a debt and you have a debt, or rice and rice. So, but because my own rice is a local rice from Nigeria, and you are thinking that the foreign rice that is coming from Pakistan is the good rice you are expecting. Are you getting me? So you wanted me to give you the 1 bag of my rice, local rice, and you will be giving me the half bag of Pakistan rice. That's one is riba al-fadl. So it's not allowed, it's prohibited. Rice and rice, they are equal. If you wanted to maintain the quality of the rice, you have to sell your new rice, that is the foreign rice, and buy my rice and buy the kind of rice I'm selling. If not, if we have to exchange it, it has to be in equal value. It has to be in equal amount. It has to be in equal quantity. So if one passes other one, that is what we call riba al-fadl, which is not allowed and is prohibited.
Equal quantity and equal quality as well.
Yes, sir.
Yes, quality.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure. So thank you so much. Since we have no question, I think Prof will call it.
I also want to close up. Our time is over, so we need to close the session. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining the session. Inshallah, we will be meeting again in the next week.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. Jazakumullah khair.